So you're taking your clothing brand from amateur to pro basically in 10 minutes. I have a custom embroidered patch on my hat as well as my crew neck that I'm wearing, and patches are something that levels up your brand, right? It allows you to take something so simple as a garment and really take it to the next level. Embroidered patches have been around since the 3rd century BC, and there's a reason why they have never gotten old, and there's a reason why they're used in military uniforms and all that stuff. It's just because they're awesome, and what better way to make your brand stand out, whether you're a new clothing brand or you're starting one, like let's say today. This is a way to make your brand stand out. And of course, I'm going to take care of you guys. I'm going to show you how to design your own custom embroidered patches inside of Adobe Illustrator. We're going to go over the do's and don'ts. And to start this video off, I have an expert in the industry, Ian from Applique. You guys already know who Ian is, and you guys already know who Applique is. Applique is the industry leading print-on-demand service, and they integrate with Shopify. So they're perfect for my store. They're probably going to be perfect for your store. They offer other services like custom tags, embroidered patches, so many other things that we have to break down. But let me introduce Ian from Applique. He has a few words for you guys and myself.
What up, Charlie? It's embroidered patch time. I'm excited to be here. I did want to talk to you and all of the graphic designers about 3 not obvious things when it comes to designing embroidered patches. So let's jump in and cover it off real quick. The first and most important thing is the shape of the embroidered patch. When you're working on graphic design, I think it's super important to keep the context of the overall shape of the patch that you want in mind. And embroidered patches are really great at creating standard designs like circles or things like badges and emblems. So if you ever want to invoke like military or any type of service, these emblem and badge shapes are a really great reference. And then obviously like squares and rectangles are also just slam dunk shapes for embroidered patches. So any of those standard shapes work out really, really well. And I would keep those in mind when you're doing graphic design. The other thing is you can do things like custom shapes. So if you want to break the mold, this circle patch with a nice fish hanging out of it is a nice way to take a really simple shape like a circle and do something a little different. But let me also just quickly demonstrate to you how powerful just the shape alone is with almost no artwork. So this nice little embroidered heart, you can see like there's so many different ways you could use just the shape to tell a really compelling kind of creative story. I think that that's a great example. And then shapes can also get really complicated, right? So as long as your shape is one contiguous object, it's not like multiple different things that need to be cut out and arranged alongside each other to make sense. This one contiguous shape is a really good example of how you can put shape to work in your design. The next thing I wanted to quickly talk to you guys about is the background of an embroidered patch. Just about every embroidered patch will be created on 100% cotton twill background. It's a really nice, sturdy, high quality material, and it really supports the overall embroidery itself during the manufacturing process. It creates like a nice rigid shape. And so as a designer, you have the opportunity to set the background color for your patch. And you might want to consider like how that background color is going to come in. Are you going to do something with a tonal design with different threads? Or do you want the background to be used as like one of the core colors in the artwork itself, right? So you just need to think about how that background is going to play into your design and make a good, solid graphic design and creative direction decision with your background. And a quick design tip is just set the background color as like a layer, the bottom layer in your file. And that's a great cue to your manufacturing partner about what background color you want to use. The last thing that I want to talk to you just is about the border color. So every shape that you have is going to be finished with a nice finished edge on it, and that is the border color. You can use a stroke in graphic design to add that border, but always make sure that you're thinking about the border and what color you want to set. So this is an example of a black border, and this would be an example of a white border. And the border color overall can just set a lot of the tone with the embroidery and how it's going to lay when it's presented on a garment or on a hat. So those are the 3 quick non-obvious design tips. I hope that helps, Charlie. Good luck to you.
Before we get into the design process, you want to take into consideration the size of the patch that you're trying to make. If you're working in Adobe Illustrator like we are today, you can always resize it later on. So it's not that big of a deal if you accidentally start designing, but just keep that in mind, guys. It's very, very important to size things out on an actual garment before you get into the design process. It helps a bunch, especially with detail. especially with detail. And we're gonna go over that right now while we're designing, because detail is everything with embroidery. Sometimes when you have too much detail, things don't work the way you want them to work. So we're gonna go over that right now, but that was just a quick note. I know we're talking a lot, but this is all important information. Let's go ahead and open up a new document inside of Illustrator now. First thing I would do is update Adobe Illustrator if you haven't already, because you want to use the latest version, of course. Once you do that, you can just press the new file button. It's big and blue on the left hand side. Instead of 4 inches by 4 inches, I want to go for something a little smaller to start off with. So I'm going to go 3 inches by 3 inches. Again, we can change that size later on because we are working with vector instead of raster. So we can resize our design to anything and it's not going to lose quality. So 3 inches by 3 inches is perfect. So now that I have my document open, I'm going to drag in some art that I just made in Procreate using my iPad Pro. And the reason why I'm going to use this as an example is because I want to show you guys how we can process this and make it, you know, obviously a patch that's going to embroider really nicely. So the thing with embroidery is it's not as simple as just like clicking print. You have to digitize the actual artwork first, which is why you need to make sure things don't have too much detail. So that's one of the first points I want to make to you guys is when you're designing stuff, just make sure you're leaving out fine details, because embroidery has a really hard time picking that stuff up. So this design is perfect for embroidery because it's quite simple. I'm going to go up to image trace. I'm just going to do a quick image trace on this because it's really simple lines and I think it's going to do a great job. Image tracing literally just traces over your raster lines and that's pretty much it. So now we have something that looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and press ignore white, or actually I don't even need to do that. And here's why. I'm going to expand this first and then I'm just going to select the outside real quick. So do something like that. And now I have just the ghost selected and I want to keep the white on the inside. That's the reason why I didn't ignore white. I would just have to refill it and I don't want to do that. And now I'm just going to hold an option and just duplicate this. I think that is Alt on a PC if I'm not mistaken. But now that this is duplicated, what I can do is go to my Pathfinder and then I'm going to press Unite and that's going to fill it with black. And then from here we could just literally drag it back in place and then align it together. And then we can send this to the back. And then from here, we can literally just add a stroke. I made the outside stroke a little thicker just to make it stand out a little bit more and give that embroidery machine a little bit more to work with. Embroidery loves bold lines, contrast, and just less detail, okay? So when you're designing your patches, just think about those kind of things and you're going to succeed. And if you are using color, just think contrast. That's literally all you have to do. So if you're doing black, use red with it. That's contrast, right? Now let's make another design, but this time let's use color and some typography to make a high contrast patch, okay? So let's just type out good vibes. So I'm gonna type out good first, and I do have a font that I really like. The font that I'm gonna use is called Trickhand, and we're just gonna type out good vibes. Something really simple, right? Good vibes, why not? Something like this. And we could just make sure this is perfectly centered together. Now with this kind of design, just make sure the letters are spaced out just a little bit, because when we go to add that stroke, we really want that detail to show with the letters, right? I just found a color palette on Google, so I just imported it, really simple. And we are going to use this because this is going to be fun and awesome. And now we could take our text and just color pick whatever color we want to use. So let's go ahead and go with like a brown first. Now what I want to do is just select my text and I'm going to outline it real quick. So I'm going to press Shift, Command or Control if you're on a PC, O, and that will outline your text. We're going to go up to Object, Path, and we're going to offset the path, and we're going to make this pretty thick. So we're going to go about, like, let's say 105 maybe. I like the 0.05, so we're going to keep that. And I want to make sure joins is set to round, and we want to make sure the meter limit is just standard. You just leave that alone and then press OK. I'm going to select everything, right click and ungroup everything, and then select all the letters on the inside. And we're going to group those separate. So I'm just selecting them real fast, just like this. And we can even cut them real quick, see? And now they're out of the picture. And then from here, we can merge everything and then unite everything. So it creates a solid fill. And then we could do Shift, Command, or Control V, and that is going to paste that back in place. And then we can choose this lighter color. That's contrast right there. This is what we're talking about when we talk about contrast, okay? So we have the brown, and then we have like the tan color on the inside. This is called contrast, okay? Look at the brown with that lighter tan color. It looks amazing. And then from here, what we could do is duplicate the background, just the background, and then we could choose different colors. So let's go with this orange, for example, something like this. And now we have a good old-fashioned retro design. And if you don't like the brown, honestly, just use like an off black. Let's go and go with something like this, or maybe just a darker brown, I don't know. This is a great example of contrast, and if you really wanted to, you could just make another version and we can go even more simple with it. Now let's go ahead and try orange on the inside, and then on the outside, let's go ahead and try maybe yellow. That looks pretty cool. Let's try the teal color. Let's switch it up a little bit and then take that orange and go maybe that mustard color. Maybe we could even try like a darker color, like maybe we could just try black and see what that looks like. So I think this looks good. This is great contrast too. See, so I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this again, and let's go ahead and flip the whole thing. So let's go black for the stroke. On the inside, let's go orange. That looks super sick. This is a great example of a bold and high contrast embroidered design. And this will do great with embroidery unless Ian tells me otherwise, but I think these will do great from what I can tell. And the reason why is because, again, they are simple and they have clean lines and they have high contrast. So really, really good stuff. So we just went over some do's and don'ts, but I want you guys to know that it's okay to go a little bit more detailed as long as you're doing it within reason. Like the skull on my shirt right here is very simple, yet it still has high detail. And we created just a simple circle with that same white outline. And we did simplify the skull before going into production. But as you can see, it still held a lot of detail. And that's simply because we kind of knew what we were doing, of course. Ian is a pro over at Applique, so he took really good care of me and taught me a lot about embroidery already, stuff that I didn't even know before. So it's a learning experience, but this will get you started. And that is how you guys can make an embroidered patch. But what I want to do now is go to my Shopify store and show you guys how you can set up your own custom patches using Applique. Let's go. Once you sign up for a Shopify store, or you already have a Shopify store, navigate to apps all the way at the bottom. And then from here, you can actually search for the Applique app. Mine is already installed. You're going to want to make an Applique account as well. I already have one set up. So now check this out. If you go to the Applique homepage, first and foremost, if you go to the top where it says services, you can see all the services that they offer. So it's all laid out right there for you. My mind is always blown when I see their website. Private labels are a big thing too, woven labels. I have a custom made woven label on this crew neck that I'm wearing. So that kind of goes to show you how much you can really customize your garment. I mean, it's insane. This didn't exist not too long ago, okay? So you're taking your clothing brand from amateur to pro basically in 10 minutes. I mean, you can sign up so quick. It's really that fast. So again, you have all those services, and if you're ready to set up a patch, you literally just go to labeling and branding all the way to patches. Everything's right here. So you can check out all the prices. You can set up a custom patch and start using them on your drop shipped products. Applique is already added to my Shopify store. So all I have to do is go up to products, and let's go ahead and just go to hats or something. I don't even know. Let's do camo hats. Why not? Because that's what I have on right now. And let's find this exact camo hat. It's right here, multicam black premium snapback right there, design hats. Click on that and check this out. So we can add our artwork. We can do a bunch of stuff right here, but the main thing is private labeling and the actual embroidered patch, right? So private labeling is so important. Like, it's a woven label essentially, right? And I have one on this crew neck as well. Let me go to full screen so I can show you. The woven label on my crew neck is a private label, and that is so cool. So when people buy my merch, it has my logo on it. So you're gonna go through the steps. Make sure you choose a private label if you set one up. If you didn't, just go to services, set one up real quick. And then under patches, that's where you're gonna choose the location of the patch that you want to use. I already set mine up through the services. So you want to make sure you know what size you're going to go with before you start designing these products, guys, because you don't want something to be too big on the hat. We kind of knew this was going to be a good size for the hat, so we went with that size. But again, you want to make sure you double check everything, guys. But for this patch, I already know it's going to look good, so I just choose the front crown. You don't get a preview, but that's fine. And then after that, you go all the way to the top and click next. And then here is where you can buy a sample. You can drop ship it. You can buy it in bulk. You can save it for later in case you want to just keep playing with it. Everything's right there, guys. It's super simple. If I were to click drop ship this product, it's going to add it to my Shopify store. I'm not going to do that right now, but if you guys are interested in these hats, let me know. We might launch them, maybe a small batch to test them out. But nonetheless, that is how you do it. And now I have a quick question for you guys. You want to start a clothing brand, right? You want to stand out. What is holding you back? Literally, what are you doing? Go start a free Shopify store. Add the Applique app. Start drop shipping some products, guys. Start a brand today using Applique. Print on Bella Canvas too, okay? Don't forget about Bella Canvas. But yeah, this is it. That's how you do it, guys. Let me know what you thought about the video in the comment section below. Thanks friends for watching my videos, and if you guys want to check out more of my popular content, click right here on the end screen. You guys can continue watching, and don't forget to check out all the links in the description of this video to check out Applique and start using them, and then check out Bella Canvas as well. And that is it, man. That's as simple as it gets to make a custom embroidered patch. I'm gonna go hang out with my baby and my other baby. All right, so I will catch you guys in the next video.